Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp as we once again have a look at some of the games coming out for the Switch and the Switch 2 in this upcoming week. In terms of dates, we're going from the 8th of December up until the 14th. This may be the last of this type of video for the remainder of this year because that will take us right into the beginning of our 12 days of SwitchUp series. So we'll round up any games that we missed in the last few weeks of the year in an early January video. So which games are coming out this week then? Well, let's find out.
This episode was sponsored by Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed Shadows, which just released on the Nintendo Switch 2. We have a full video if you want to go check it out. But the team did a good job of porting across the Anvil engine, giving us the full Assassin's Creed experience, bar a couple of things that I believe are coming next year.
The story this time round takes place in feudal Japan, with you taking control of two different characters, being Yasuke and Naoe, with their stories crossing at certain points and their playstyles being very different.
As well as this, you'll be building up your hideout, customizing it almost in a top-down strategy style, moving buildings around, rotating them, placing them where you want, and carrying out a variety of different missions within this large open world. And there is some freedom in how you approach the game's assassinations, with it showing you the relative difficulties of each region. On Switch 2, we've got touchscreen controls, cross-progression using Ubisoft Connect, and day one content parity.
Assassin's Creed Shadows costs £49.99 and regional equivalents are on your screen now. As Mark mentioned a moment ago, we do have a video on this one. There'll be a link to it in the top right hand corner if you want to give that a watch for the full story, and there'll be links in the description if you want to purchase the game. Once again, a thank you to Ubisoft for sponsoring this video. Let's start with a game called Skate Story. This is a Switch 2 release, and it says you'll need to ollie, kickflip and grind your way through the ash and smoke of the underworld as you take on a seemingly impossible quest. You are a demon in the underworld made out of glass and pain. The devil has given you a skateboard with a simple deal: skate to the moon and swallow it, and you shall be freed. It says you'll need to skate through 9 layers of the underworld, cruising through streets and surreal landscapes full of waxed ledges, unholy gaps and tortured demons. You can sell your soul for decks, wheels and trucks to keep your skating fresh, with over 70 skate tricks to progress and improve. This game is published by Devolver Digital, and as we say, most times they have a very good eye when it comes to publishing games from developers that have some sort of unique angle. We'll wait to see if this is the same. It's out on the 8th for £17.99 or your regional equivalent. The next release is KIBORG. This calls itself a relentless roguelike beat-em-up where you enhance your body with new cybernetic implants each run. It says in the future, even death can't free you. If a criminal dies while serving their sentence, they are reconstructed to return to their suffering, and you are serving a 1300-year sentence. The only way to shorten this is to win the last ticket. The rules are simple. There is a shuttle on the roof of the prison, and if you can fight your way through hordes of other inmates and reach it in time, you'll be given your freedom. It promises hybrid action of old school beat-em-ups, shooters and roguelites, and you can experiment with hundreds of power-enhancing augmentations and apply dozens of mutations to create deadly synergies, according to the blurb. It's more of a 3D take on the classic roguelike top-down, enemy-destroying gameplay. This one's for the Switch 1 and it releases again on the 8th for £22.49. Next we have Romancing Saga Minstrel Song Remastered International. I'm pretty sure the remastered version of Minstrel Song released for the Switch, with this international version, I believe, adding new localizations for French, German, Italian and Spanish, on top of what was already in the original remaster. It says 8 heroes set off on their own journeys as if guided by the hand of fate. Romancing Saga Minstrel Song returns as a stunning remastered edition. Now, I don't think I've played this one. I have played a lot of the Romancing Saga games over the years, to the point where I do misremember which ones I actually played, but looking at the screenshots of this one, This one doesn't look familiar to me. I believe it was a PlayStation 2 game originally, before obviously the remaster I mentioned a moment ago, and now this remaster if you like. But I do like the Romancing Saga series as a whole. From the ones I've played, of course, they do have a lot of the similar mechanics that carry over from one game to the other. So if this isn't one I've played, it's pretty bad when you're forgetting which games you've played, then it will definitely be one I'll keep half an eye on. This one releases on the 9th and it will sell for £26.99, but you can get 10% off of that price up until the 15th of December. Also this week we have Farming Simulator Signature Edition. This is a Switch 2 release and it says you can switch your daily routine for a relaxing farming adventure. From a picturesque North American setting with wide open land to a Central European location with green fields between ponds, or a lush East Asian landscape filled with water-flooded rice paddies, grow your farm, produce goods and cultivate the agricultural empire of your dreams. There are 25 crops to cultivate, you can branch out into forestry and tend to livestock and operate over 400 different machines from 150 real brands. I've played a couple of the Farming Simulator games in the past and they are quite hard to get into initially if you're used to games that are more farm life sim than actual farming simulators, but there is something very cathartic about going about your daily life in a setting that, for me and I'm sure many other people, is completely alien. It releases on the 9th, £52.99 for this one, but there is a 10% discount available, which goes up until launch day. The next game is Ultimate Sheep Raccoon. This is another Switch 2 game where it says you'll race to victory through a mayhem-filled obstacle course of deadly traps you've built with friends while pulling off sick tricks. Ultimate Sheep Raccoon is a bike racing party game where you and your friends build a course of ramps, obstacles and traps. You need to dodge hazards, do crazy tricks and use power-ups to get ahead of the competition. It features 8-player support for both local and online play, and a custom level editor, with classic characters returning from the Ultimate Chicken Horse game, plus a brand new cast of Barnyard Buddies according to the blurb. This is another game that releases on the 9th of December, and this one will cost you £16.75, or again, your regional equivalent. We then have Montezuma's Revenge, the 40th Anniversary Edition. The blurb says you'll experience a timeless classic adventure now fully evolved and complete for the first time. The 1983 classic multi-room platformer Montezuma's Revenge returns in 2.5D glory, and now Pedro's adventure is bigger than ever with 100 tricky rooms to explore. For its 40th anniversary, what was once an unfinished game is now resurrected to match the full version of creator Robert Yeager. This time you can choose between male and female explorers, Pedro or his sister Rosita, to delve deep into the dangerous ruins. Whilst this is a game I do know of, I didn't know the full story behind the unfinished side of it, so I did have a look into it, and it looks as if the original creator, Robert Yeager, exhibited the unfinished game at the Consumer Electronics Show in 1983. Officials from Parker Brothers showed an interest in the game and convinced him to sign the rights over, and they then finished the game themselves, removing what was meant to be a boss at the end of the game with one final room. So it looks as if this is what would have been the final game had he himself finished it. So that's quite an interesting story. This one releases on the 10th and it will sell for £13.49. The next one is Little Rocket Lab. This is a Switch 1 and Switch 2 release. Here you play as Morgan, an aspiring engineer headed home to complete your family's dream project, a rocket ship. Finding home not quite how she left it, Morgan will need to research and build clever contraptions and sprawling factories to help the locals. It says that you'll use these contraptions to solve puzzles and help the town. You'll need to get to know locals, making lifelong friendships and becoming the heart of the community, and research and invent new machines, energy sources and mechanical friends. It goes on to mention things such as mining for resources, exploring the coasts, rail yards, quarries, so I don't know if it will have a slight farm life sim element to it as well, but it's going to sell for £15.99 on both consoles and releases on the 10th of December. The penultimate game is Terminator 2D No Fate. This was in a video a couple of weeks ago, but the game was delayed, unfortunately. It looks as if it's going to release now on the 12th. Fingers crossed, because this could quite conceivably be my game of the year. It looks fantastic. It's a 2D run and gun based on James Cameron's Terminator 2, of course, and it looks to take key plot points from that film and turn them into levels and do the film justice. Really, it would have had video game tie-ins back in the day. They were all pretty terrible, at least the console versions were. I think there was a light gun shooting game in the arcade that was pretty decent. The platforming ones were not good, that's for sure. I'm not going to say too much about this one because I have spoken about it in one of these videos once, only for them to delay it, which was quite annoying. But yeah, really looking forward to this one. 12th of December, as I said, for £24.99. And the final game for the week then is Tombi 2, The Evil Swine Return Special Edition. I think this is called Tomba in some regions, Tombi in others, but either way, the first game received a special edition for the Switch 1, and this sequel is getting a Switch 1 and a Switch 2 release via limited run games. It says Tombi and his friend Zippo are in search of Tombi's girlfriend Tabby, and he must use all of his agility, guile and cunning disguises to save her and defeat the evil pigs once and for all. It promises 137 different missions to complete, new exclusive features such as rewind and save anywhere, which is kind of standard these days when any older game is re-released or remastered on a modern console, and a museum filled with rare artwork and much more, it says here in the blurb. I never played the original game or even the remastered version on the Switch 1 of the first game, that is, so do feel free to put some comments in the comment section if you know of this game, this sequel or the original, and just share some information. That would be much appreciated. But it's $15.99 on either console or your regional equivalent, of course, and that one releases on the 14th. So there you have it, another week of Nintendo Switch releases. Do any of those games interest you? Will you be picking any of them up? Please do let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget, if you're looking for eShop credit to do just that, you can use our website, SwitchUp.gg, to get your eShop cards, and doing so will get you 5% of your purchase price back as cashback. And there are links down there to Play Asia. If you want to import any games, again, use the link and code and you get yourself 5% off from there too. Please do feel free to check out our second channel, SwitchUp Extra, where we do longer form gameplay videos. The most recent one of those was us playing through one of the early missions in Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'll put a card to that in the top right hand corner if you want to give that a watch. Would be much appreciated. Thank you to our patrons, of course, and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.